What's going on, guys? Smooth Racing here, back with a brand new video, and today we have our Grid Autosport game review. Really happy to be bringing you guys this game review, a game that I've really enjoyed, and just wanted to share my thoughts and opinions, and mainly whether you should be buying Grid Autosport. Well, of course, just a bit of background then. Well, Grid came out, I believe, in 2007 or 2008, can't quite remember. That was very successful. And then 5 years later, in 2013, we got Grid 2, massive disappointment for many people. You know, the handling, I think, just let the whole game down really, and I think it was too focused on, you know, street rather than, you know, proper motorsport, which Grid Autosport have corrected. And the main focus of this game was, you know, just on real motorsport, real cars and real tracks, and just recapturing the magic that Race Driver Grid brought, you know, to the franchise. Anyway, then let's get on with this review. Then I'll be running down a few of the pros and the cons, and we'll start off then talk about the graphics. Well, I think the graphics is superb for this game. To say it's only on last gen, on Xbox 360 and PS3, and of course PC, this game is simply stunning. Probably the highest capabilities of these last gen consoles. Personally, it's better than Forza. I think you know, the textures, Forza 4 that is, of course not Forza 5 on next gen. That's you know, quite a bit better. But you know, for the last gen, Codemasters have really just got it right in terms of the graphics, and also the PC side of things is looking very nice indeed. You know, of course, it looks a lot nicer on PC. So if you're wanting to get the best quality graphics for Grid Autosport, then of course go and get it on the PC. As always, PC always has the best graphics compared to the consoles. Moving on to the presentation, you know, Grid Autosport really does present itself very nice. You're greeted with a very nice introduction into Grid Autosport by doing 2 touring car races. Sorry, it could be 1 touring car race, but anyway, it's a really nice, you know, good race around Hockenheim. Really gets a feel for the game, and you know, you dive straight into the action. There's no young drivers test, there's no tutorials. You just go straight in at the deep end in a touring car race, and it really is great fun as you first enter the game. Moving on to gameplay, there's some really nice gameplay. There's a really nice HUD and OSD, and there's some really nice features in Grid Autosport. One of them being, as you can see in the bottom left corner of the gameplay now, that's the teammate instructions. You can give your teammate instructions, so you can tell them to push or defend or hold the position. This is really good, and I found it's very useful in career mode for, you know, having a tactical advantage by using your teammates sometimes to hold everyone up while you catch up, and then sometimes using them as, you know, to attack to try and get that 1-2 finish, or even just that 15th place instead of 16th. Moving on, there's also a massive range of cars and tracks, especially the tracks. They've done a superb job. There's more tracks than Forza 5, which is, you know, greatly impressive considering Codemasters is such a small company compared to the people who make the Forza games. And they've done a superb job, you know, by reversing some of the tracks and just getting the most out of every track. And there are, I believe, 13 real tracks. I'll just check that now. Yeah, there are 13 real circuits, including Abu Dhabi, Malaysia, and the Indianapolis circuit. You can do the Indy 500 and Indy cars. What more do you want? And in terms of cars, well, I'm sure you've already heard there's 5 disciplines: tuner, street, endurance, open wheel, and touring. Tuner's definitely the weakest. You know, the time attacks feel a bit flat. The drifting's, you know, better than Grid 2, but it's not quite as nice. And you don't really feel that sense of achievement once you've, you know, finished first in a time trial, because there is no race after it, and it's, you know, just feels a bit more like a qualifying session. The white lines, if you go over the white lines, you get a penalty. Now, many people think this is a bad thing, but I think it's a good thing. Improves online racing for sure. You know, punishes people for corner cutting usually, and not in a way post race. So if you do make a mistake and go over the white lines, you know, you get your penalty straight away, and then you can work after that to you know, build back the, you know, time you lost. There's practicing qualifying sessions before the race, which is great. Adds to the whole experience. Online, there's a great feature online where you build your own team, and you know, you race online against the very best. There's online playlist, which is really nice. You just go on a playlist of a discipline of your choice, or you can go on random, which will just be a combination of all 5 disciplines, and you can just say go in open wheel, and it'll put you you know, randomly choose an Indy car around the Indy 500. It's really good fun, and definitely a lot of enjoyment I've spent already online just in the few days that I've owned Grid Autosport. It has been really fun online, and only one bad thing about online is the damage. If you do get smashed off by someone, you have to pay for the damage, and you kind of have money. And after each race, you get money for the higher you are up in the standings, and not as many assists, then you do get more money. And that's another good thing, you do get rewarded for turning off assists and upping the difficulty in career mode, and that's a really nice feature and does reward you for taking that extra leap. Let's talk about some cons though. There are no pit stops, which is a massively bad thing, I think, especially in endurance. You should be pitting and then going for another stint in open wheel, sometimes in touring cars, and if you get a puncture you can't pit, that's pretty much your race over, and it's just a really bad feature. And I think they've really missed out putting pit stops in when they just completed this game. It's all about real motorsport, and in real motorsport pit stops plays a major part. There are no official licensing in terms of touring cars. This is a major in terms of the championships, and it'd be really nice to see the British touring cars with all the official drivers and teams. That's such a missed opportunity, I think, by Codemasters, and if they worked that extra bit harder to get the licensing, they could have really pulled off what could have been the racing game of the year. Probably is so far, but once the likes of Forza Horizon 2, Drive Club, The Crew all come out, I think Grid Autosport will probably topple down the standings. But personally, I've really enjoyed this game. You can't run your own team in career mode. This is a major flaw, I think, and a really missed opportunity once again from Codemasters. It works so well in online, but why can't it work in career mode? They did it so well in Race Driver Grid, and there was a fantastic opportunity to do it now. Compete against the likes of Raven West. That's another thing, Raven West are really dominant. I think that's a really good thing, because in motorsport there's always dominant teams, and Raven West are the team to beat in open wheel. And indeed a few other of the disciplines as well, pretty much all the disciplines. The cockpit cameras are so bad. They're meant to have been motion blur, but really it's just lazy from Codemasters. If you only ever race in cockpit view, then just don't buy this game, because the cockpit view is absolutely awful. As for the rest of the cameras, there's some really nice cameras, and with the open wheel you get that F1 TV pod, which many people use. I'm really happy they brought that into Grid Autosport, and that's definitely what I use for that. And there's also the nice bonnet cam for touring cars, which I believe is a very popular camera, although I like to use the far chase cam, just so you can really show off that touring car and see the full of it. A few of the small details like the crowds, the graphics on them aren't quite as nice, but I do like the fact that there's not many crowds, quite small crowds in practice and qualifying, but then they intensify for the race day. That's a really nice feature, and it's not on next gen, which is a major disappointment for many people. This could have been a really good game on next gen, but sadly it's only on last gen, and they've really I think played it a bit safe, really. Codemasters, they've kind of gone with trying to know what people like, and they haven't really ventured out into the next gen territory, which I believe they will do for the next grid, whenever that may be released. We've seen grids released in consecutive years, and I do wonder if it will be ported over to next gen in the future. Hopefully it will, because it's a really good game, or maybe we could have sort of an evolution of this game, which is just slightly improved, and some of these features that I've listed have been redefined. And also, on a final point, the AI are some of the best I've probably ever seen in a racing game. They're really good. They always, very feisty, battling for the position, sometimes a bit too aggressive, but they're definitely so much better, and I'm hoping that F1 will replicate this by using the same sort of AI that Grid Autosport have used in F1 2014. But anyway, let's get on to the final verdict then, and my final rating is an 8.5. It's a really well-rounded game from Codemasters, so much better than Grid 2, and nearly captured the imagination and magic caused by Race Driver Grid. And it's certainly a very good game. Set aside from the whole of the Grid series, I think it kind of, sets itself out as a new game, not copying, Race Driver Grid, but setting out, as its own motorsport game. No other game is really like this. You can't really compare it to many other games. It's got touring cars, open wheel, endurance, drifters, prototype, supercars, hypercars. What more could you possibly want for a motor racing game? Grid Autosport is a must buy in my personal opinion, and I would definitely go and order it now. I'd probably value this game around £20, so maybe you want to wait a bit longer if you haven't already, just to wait until it goes down to 20, maybe even £25. Me personally, I pre-ordered it, and I'm so happy I pre-ordered it, even though it took a month to come after pre-ordering it. But I definitely pay £30 for this game, but I think in terms of the general view, definitely I think 20-25 worth of this game, but definitely 8.5 for me. A really well-rounded and a very good game, but I'm sure you and myself has really enjoyed playing, and let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below on your experiences with Good Autosport so far, and if you'll be buying it. But anyway, that's pretty much it then. Hopefully this will set the tone for a great year for Codemasters with the release of F1 2014 just on the horizon. Let's hope for greater things from Codemasters in their next racing game, F1 2014. I've been Racing, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.